It reached 0. Shouldn't the intro be playing? Lisa, we need the intro going right now. Come on. Oh, there you are. Okay, now turn it up. Turn it up. Good. Lisa, you know you can't be on the phone and us be broadcasting at the same time. That's what we get for running everything through AT&T. Come on, get off the phone.
Good morning, Shushan. I'm your host, Yonkel Finkelstein, and I'm here with some very important guests that are going to help me in both ushering in the Purim season and bringing some very enlightening insight into the hearts and minds of the people who lived through this trying event. So first off, I'd like to introduce you to the man who started it all. The man whose bathrobes are made with threads of gold. The very man whose relationship status almost started an intersocietal war. The king of Persia himself, Ahasuerus.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today, and what a great day it is.
Now, King, what have you been up to lately? Have you been lying low?
Well, honestly, I've been traveling every corner of my empire collecting tchotchkes. I've really had a great time, except for when my clutch carriers dropped me during our travels one day.
Ouch.
The schlub kvetched about the schlep. Needless to say, he's not in the picture anymore. It's good to be the king.
I'm glad to hear you've been enjoying yourself. But please tell us about what happened the other day.
Well, first, I was just enjoying myself, doing kingly things, having a nice party. And suddenly, my wife Vashti starts talking back to me, saying no and all. You know that I never take no as an answer, so I removed her from being queen. She was only good for shtut anyway, and thus began the search for the new queen. Hands down, Esther won. Hands down. Living with Esther is great. I give her whatever she wants. Being the king, I have so much to offer her.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying your time with the queen. But please, let's get on to what actually happened.
Okay, uncle. Don't get your ramen in a bunch. Haman came to me and asked for my permission or something. Honestly, I didn't listen to what it was. I usually never do. For Adonis' sake, I'm the king. Speaking of that, do you know how great it is being the king, Yonko? Here, let me tell you, this one time...
Please, Ahasuerus, focus.
Right. I mean, there really is nothing to tell. Like I said, what my baby mama wants, my baby mama gets.
Do you care to elaborate on that?
Do I have to spell it out for you? Esther wanted Haman gone, and I love her so much. I wasn't able to say no. She told me why she did, but hey, listening is for schnorrers. I'm the king. Why would I listen? All I remember hearing is how much it rocks with having lots of locks. And if Haman gets what he wants, all of us will be forgot.
How did we get to that point?
To Haman being hanged, he used the power I gave him to try and exterminate all the Jews. And unfortunately, when my love, Esther, came to me and asked for protection of the Jews, like I said earlier, what my baby wants, she gets. It's good to be the king.
I can imagine. Now, since you haven't told us, would you care to say what the benefits of being the king are?
Yes, the clothes, the feast, the shiksas, and it's just great being the king. No mishigas for me.
Okay, all right. Well, there you have it. From the king himself, this has been Inside Purim. Good morning, Shushan. I'm here today with yet another of our characters from our series Inside Purim. Now, this character is probably one of the most misunderstood characters of this series, at least from his point of view. So let's see what he has to say about this entire story. I'm here today with Haman, ex-vizier of the Persian Empire, infamous persecutor of the Jews, and recently hanged on the gallows. Tell me, how are you feeling today, sir?
I need to clear one thing up before we get into this, Megillah. I don't go by Haman. Yeah, it may be what you've heard. This is somewhat startling news, but I go by a different name now.
Really?
A more common name.
That is quite a surprise. Now, what name have you adopted?
Jerry. I mean, Haman is my birth name, true, but I never really liked it, and it got worse when I went to college. When I pledged to Tav Shin Zayim back at Persia Tech.
Hold on there. You went to a technical school?
Oh yeah.
For what reason did you attend?
Well, ever since I was a little boy chick, I had dreams of being a mechanic. But once I got to university, I discovered my passion for art. I joined a painters fraternity there. I made a name evolved from Haman to Hey Man.
So that's why you go by Jerry now.
Yeah, that's why I go by Jerry. Broch. Even those schmucks on the campaign caught on and would yell in a debate, "Hey man," to get me all riled up.
So how exactly did you go from technical school, art enthusiast, to vizier of Persia and right hand to King Ahasuerus?
I ask myself that question every day. When I met my wife Zeresh in my 3rd year, she started pushing me to pursue a public office in Shushan. She knew I was never cut out for that type of work, but she was all about the geld, you know. So I started transitioning from paintings of automobiles.
Wait, what's that?
What's what?
What you just said.
A painting? It's where you take a brush and you...
No, the other thing, an auto something?
Oh, an auto de fe? That's what you oughtn't to do, but you do anyway. You meant an automobile.
Yes, an automobile, that's right. Never mind, continue.
Well, I started reading up on Persia, you know, some stuff about Babylon. I learned about Nebuchadnezzar and about Cyrus the Spiel. So, after reading all this patriotic crap, though, I realized I didn't have any kind of a shot in the polls. So I went to see San Mordecai.
Do you mean our current vizier, Mordecai Bilshan?
I do indeed.
And what role did San Mordecai play in your subsequent election?
He helps people. I have some frat brothers in school who were already in debt when they realized they wanted to write graphic novels instead of work with metal. So they went to see the San, and he gave them jobs working for him to help pay back their loans.
I see. And now, how did San Mordecai help you?
Well, the San, he set me up in the election, you know. In return, I told him I would pass him over when I sent my boys out to collect the crooks. I mean, he had people on the inside too, and I knew what he could do if he wanted.
So you came to this position of power by the hand of someone you say is an underground crime lord, and you don't feel guilty about it at all?
Yanko, when you have people begging to taste your food for poison, life is good. You don't worry about the little sewers.
Okay, hey, Jerry. Let's skip ahead to the incident that set your tower falling.
No. It started with the king's decree to have everyone bow to me. I don't know what kind of Turkislacker would have made that kind of law, but it didn't mean no good. That asshole wanted me to think he was real cool setting me up like that. All it really did was make it tougher for a man like a San Mordecai to look respectable in public, being a wealthy businessman and openly religious type.
So you weren't mad when he didn't bow to you?
No, not at all. I was very understanding. But then some far stinker came to tell me how awful it was that San Mordecai didn't bow to me. And didn't I know he was a Jew and a criminal? And what if I pushed legislation to eliminate all the Jews in Persia?
So those weren't your ideas?
Mein Gott, no. But they soon became my ideas. That horrible man standing there talking at me, I was furious. I started shouting at him. And eventually, I said something I'll regret forever.
I don't quite follow.
I yelled, "I could kill you!" But what he heard was, "I could kill you," which in his twisted mind sounded like a perfect plan. He had me on board as far as he was concerned. Nothing I said could convince him otherwise. I thought I had him when he stopped frantically pacing and asked me my birthday. Maybe he was returning to some semblance of normal conversation. So I said, the 13th of Adar. But he just cackled and yelled, "That's when we'll do it."
This is incredible. How different the perspective is from the other side.
Believe me, I know.
So what happened next, Jerry?
Well, I offered the king $1 million in the hopes that he wouldn't pass that legislation. But apparently that stupid putz had already come and suggested it, and the king loved the idea as a publicity stunt. So he told me to keep the money and do whatever I wanted. He had already told Stinky to spread the word about the massacre on my birthday. Boy.
So the pieces are moving at this point. When does Queen Esther come to the plot?
Well, we had dinner together, actually. It was a nice break from the stress of viziership and dealing with little Hitler's plans for Jewish obliteration. The king couldn't be at the dinner in person, so he FaceTimed from Persepolis. The whole time, I kept thinking Esther had something she wanted to say to him, but it was a bit awkward over the phone, so she planned another dinner for the next night.
That's quite an honor to have eaten with the king and queen 2 nights in a row.
Well, I was ecstatic. So ecstatic, in fact, that when I walked outside and saw Sir Mordecai's henchman waiting for me in the shadows, I felt compelled to make him bow down. He wouldn't, though, and when I got home, I emailed Sir Mordecai a picture of some gallows I'd be building. You know, the whole vague threat thing.
Not a smart move, I'm guessing.
Not at all. That was the sign in the shadows, and he took that picture very personally, adding another threat to the fact that his people would be wiped out by my mandate. As soon as I realized this, I knew I would have to get the sign before he got me. Nothing personal, though, you understand.
Of course.
So I rushed back to the palace, avoiding the front gates where I'd seen the sign, and run into the oval chambers to ask the king's permission to hang Mordecai. Before I could open my mouth, he asks me what I would do to honor someone if I was him. Well, I mean, naturally, I think he's talking about me, so I tell him to buy that man a nice Italian suit, put him on a purebred Arabian stallion, and ride him around the town, yelling to everyone, this is the king's favorite man.
Ah, well, the next part, of course, is famous.
I was then told to honor Sir Mordecai the same way that I had just suggested. Alave, the Sand, had discovered a plot to kill the king some time back, and had never been rewarded. I was feeling like more of a schlemazel than I ever had. When I remembered that dinner that night with the king and the queen, well, running on almost no sleep, I stumbled into the dining room. I sat down, and I was just conscious enough to hear Queen Esther tell the king that there was a plot against her people.
I bet that woke you up.
Aye, I stood up in time to hear Esther denounce me. The king sentenced me to death. What a farcique day.
I think we all know what happens next.
Yeah, I was hanged on the gallows I built for the Mordecai. He wanted the end, though, didn't he, that sly Mauser? I never knew he would use his own cousin as a pawn in his games.
Well, Jerry, I want to thank you for coming in today and giving us such a contrasting look at the Purim story.
Uncle, it's not every day people want the truth about me.
Thank you, and join us next time for another look inside Purim. Good morning, Shushan. I'm here with the very person this entire story is all about, the Queen of Persia herself. Let's give a warm welcome to Queen Esther. Welcome, Your Highness.
Thanks, Yonko. I'm super pumped to be here.
So tell us, Your Highness, now, what was it like transforming from a common middle-class girl to the Queen of all of Persia?
You know, it was totally crazy. Like, I was in so much shock when Hachi picked me out of everyone. Like, it was just so flattering.
Was becoming the queen stressful for you at all, or did you adapt well to the situation?
I was like kind of stressed out at first, just because I had to deal with all that Haman drama. See, drama just stresses me out and overwhelms me, so dealing with that was not fun. But once I saved all the Jews and stuff, it was like totally awesome and super fun.
Now, let's talk more about Haman. What was it like working with him?
You know, it was really hard for me to work with him and like pretty frustrating all the time.
How so?
Well, for starters, his fashion sense was atrocious. I mean, I caught him wearing white after Rosh Hashanah so many times, and the chutzpah of some people, you just don't do that. I mean, I'm no maven of high fashion, but still, that's not okay.
What was his politics like, though? I mean, what was it like dealing with that?
Like, it was okay. I mean, he was a little extreme, but I respected his opinions.
But his opinions involved eliminating all the Jews, your people, right?
Oh yeah, that was not okay. Like, OMG, I can't believe someone would do that.
Yeah, okay then. So when did you first realize that something needed to be done about Haman and his plan?
Well, at first, I, didn't really know what was going on with him, you know? But someone, tipped me off, so that way I was able to figure it out and, be like, that's not okay.
Oh, and who was it that tipped you off?
I don't know. I'm not sure, I don't remember. But, I was able to figure it out on my own pretty quickly just because he was so extreme and far off.
But Wasn't it your cousin Mordecai that tipped you off?
Oh yeah, I guess it was.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he help you through the entire situation?
Yeah. Mordecai's a real mensch.
So without Mordecai tipping you off, you might not have been able to stop Haman in time. Isn't that right? Now, doesn't he deserve quite a bit of the credit for saving the Jews as well then?
What are we talking about again?
Stopping Haman.
Nothing can stop Haman from his horrible fashion sense.
Okay, you know what? Let's just talk about something else then. How is the kingdom different now with Haman out of the picture?
Shushan is like so fab now. Like it's a great kingdom to be the queen of.
Okay. How's the king doing?
Oh, Hashi's just great. You know, Yonkel, he really is a great king. And no matter what the citizens of Shushan say, like lately he's been kind of worried about his popularity and stuff and like the polls and what they're all saying. But I just want to remind you all that he really is great. So you should all vote Ahas Beirus for king.
Well, thanks for that message, Your Highness. Is there anything else you want to tell your viewers about your experiences?
I just want everyone to, just remember to always be nice and just do the right thing because look at Haman. He didn't do the right thing and just look where he is now. So just, be nice, do the right thing, and no white after Rosh Hashanah. Seriously, people.
Okay, that's all the time we have. Thanks for being here today, Queen Esther, and give our regards to Hashi.
Will do.
Good morning, Shushan. I'm your host, Yankel Finkelstein, and I'm here with another very important guest that is not only going to further our series Inside Purim, but also give us an entirely new perspective on how this iconic legend actually played out. Now, please join me in welcoming our kingdom's newest vizier, second only to the king himself, the great Mordecai Bilshan.
How you doing?
Now, tell me, Mordecai, I know everyone is interested in hearing what you have to say about the wild rumors and speculation concerning your rise to power and the salvation of the Jews.
It started with Vashti.
What do you mean by that?
Vashti, the king's old Balabusta. It started with her. But you know that part though, yeah? He said, come here, she did it, so I took care of it.
I mean, I obviously didn't know you were involved in Vashti's assassination.
Involved? I didn't say that. I said I took care of it. You take that as you will. But that's when I started getting respected for what I can do.
So what came next for you, though? When did Esther really get into the picture?
Yankel, family is a big part of Jewish life. A man who doesn't spend time with his family is not a real man. So, Esther, she was always a big part of it. But when she got picked for the palace, I saw an opportunity.
An opportunity for what, exactly?
It's always good to have leverage, my friend. And sometimes a cousin on the throne is exactly what the doctor ordered.
I see. Now, shortly after Queen Esther took her spot beside the king, there was a plot to assassinate him. Tell us about that.
My man Benny comes to me and he says, son, there's some business in the palace you might want to know about. Turns out there's a hit being planned for the king. So I did what I do and I had my boys take care of it.
So, you saved the king's life then?
This I will take credit for.
But you weren't rewarded right away.
No, Ahasuerus did not find out. Keep my boys quiet, understand?
Yes, I think I do.
And Haman was next.
Huh. Now, what do you mean by next?
I mean, he was next on the list. Esther let me know about that anti-Semitic legislation he was passing, so I went over to personally have a talk with him about it. You know, not many people know this, but I got him in the palace in the first place. That schmuck wouldn't have won if every voter was his mother, but he came to me. He talked to me. I liked him. He was humble.
So what happened when you tried to talk to him?
He tried to make me bow to him, like that first time when he was riding that horse. The chutzpah! Well, of course I did not. So he strode off very angrily. Then, when I get home, he sends me a picture of some gallows he's building outside of his house. Some kind of a vague threat. Well, you know the son does not take that kind of thing lightly.
What did you do in retaliation?
Esther never gives me enough credit for this, but I made sure that she went and spoke to the king about it directly. She kept putting it off. She said she was nervous about what the king would think about her outfits. I didn't just open the door for her. I opened it and I threw her in. The whole private dinner shtick was my idea too.
So you thought Queen Esther could convince the king that Haman was a genocidal maniac?
Her position gave her privileges that I didn't have, even as the son of Shushan. But I still put the words into her mouth. It was a lucky break for me when I was recognized for having saved the king's life. Although I'm not sure how well that got out. I've always made sure that the word of that did not get out. Anyway, that put the idea in the king's head that I was a real mensch.
And we all know the next part.
That stupid schmagag was hanged on the gallows with his sons. Oy, oy, oy. But his law was still in effect. So of course, those racist Persians were ready to wipe out our people. As the new vizier, I passed a stand your ground law to be in effect on the 13th of Adar. That way, any Jews who were attacked could fight right back.
And we are grateful for that, Vizier.
You do what you gotta do. I always had plans to be in the palace someday. I just never thought I'd be there as vizier, under my ungrateful Luftmensch of a cousin and that nebbish on the throne.
Well, thank you for being so candid with us, Vizier. One last question. Who will your business go to now that you're holding matters of state?
The only man that I can trust, Benny. He turned it down at first, but I made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Big. Thank you again for being with us, Vizier. I hope you'll join me again next time for another look inside Purim. Thank you.